Giganotosaurus.
Giganotosaurus. Giganotosaurus.
Giganotosaurus. Giga, call it whatever you want, but there's no denying this is one of the most impressive pieces to come out in the Hammond collection so far. This is a lot of figure for $50. Now in the pre-order minds from Target, I'll leave a link down below in the description. At the time of this review, this figure is currently sold out online, but people are finding them on stores, even though the app says they are not in stock. Just, hit those targets. Maybe you get lucky and snag this. This is a newly released figure, so I'm sure there will be many restocks in the very near future. Now it comes in the Hammond collection packaging that we've grown and loved. Not a big fan of how restricted the window is. I wish we can see more of the figure, but the whole box is adorned with beautiful product shots of this amazing looking Giga. And along the side of the box, we also get some of the upcoming figures like Charlie, Claire, and the Pyroraptor. Can't wait for those release. So anyways, let's just jump at this review and see what's going on with this figure. Just some quick assembly with this figure with the tail, a couple quick clicks, and you're ready to go. And once fully assembled, this is an incredibly impressive figure. The sculpting, the paint, the details, it's all there. This is truly a collector-worthy figure. Mattel really knocked this one out of the park. And just the size of this figure, it is a lot of figure they crammed in that box, mostly due to that double-jointed tail. And this bad boy measures an impressive 28.5 inches long, or 72.4 centimeters, and about 9.5 inches tall. To the top of the head, that of course changes depending on how you have the figure posed, or 21.1 centimeters. So the Giganotosaurus in Dominion is much bigger than the real life animal. It measures around 51 feet long, or 15.5 meters. So I'll put this figure in the 120 scale range, which makes it the second largest figure currently in the Hammond collection between the Brachiosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yeah, it's a little bit small for the 118 scale that Hammond collection goes for, but once you have this thing in hand, this thing is huge, and that little scale differential is not going to bother anybody. Now, looking at the details of this impressive figure, whatever your thoughts are on the design choice for the Giga in Dominion, it looks nothing like what the real animal looked like. There's no denying that this figure is pretty much a perfect recreation of how it appeared in the movie. The glass eye looks absolutely fantastic. Probably one of the better implemented glass eyes of any of the figures so far, and has a nice green hue to it with that slit pupil. The teeth are extremely well done. It just, we are a long way from the painted, oversized, goofy, blunt, rounded teeth. Now we have these nice, sharp rubber insert teeth, and there's a little bit of dry brushing on the teeth to bring out some of the details. We have a rubber tongue, very similar to the Hammond collection T-Rex, which works extremely well. It has that big weird triangular head. Very, very nicely sculpted. The detail in the paint all over this figure is just absolutely exceptional. When Mattel does good, they do really good. Like I said, this is one of the best figures in Hammond collection right now. We have lots of scoots all over the body. All those are just decked out in dark paint with a little bit of brown dry brushing here and there to bring out the details. The ridiculously high spines on the back of this figure, very acro looking. I kind of actually wish Acrocanthosaurus did show up in the movie. I absolutely love that theropod. The spines are really, really nicely done. The feet are nice and proportionate. Far cry from the clown feet of the T-Rex, and the tail is just very proportionate and long. It's been one of the biggest complaints with Mattel. The tails are too short, but I'm glad that they did this two-segmented tail to really give this figure some much-needed length. It looks very, very proportionate, super movie accurate to what appeared on screen, the CGI model and the animatronic. This thing is just absolutely stunning. One thing I did notice that is missing on this figure, on the animatronic of the Giga, it had some scar tissue above the teeth near the back of the upper jaw, and it's actually sculpted on the figure. It'd been really nice if Mattel just added a little bit of pink paint for those paint apps to truly make this figure 100% movie accurate. The articulation on this figure is really good. With the head, you do get that ratcheted jaw, similar to the T-Rex, but it doesn't feel as restrictive as the Hammond collection T-Rex. It's a little bit smoother of a mechanism, but it still has locking points for the jaw, for the upper and lower jaws, and it actually does close really nicely flush. You just have to have everything positioned correctly. The tongue also has a ratchet. It does keep it in the middle like this. If you push all the way down, you hear a little bit of a click, and it'll keep it mounted on the lower jaw. And we have a double jointed neck. You can't really get too much upward movement because the spikes right here do hit the second joint. That's a little bit unfortunate. We do get some decent side-to-side movement on those two joints working in tandem. Very nicely done. Better than the Hammond Collection Carnosaurus. I feel like that neck joint was too restrictive. Arms have a hinge joint, and you can move them backwards and forwards. You get just about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow and rotation, and the wrists have a hinge for upwards and down movement and full 360-degree rotation. Now, unlike the Hammond Collection T-Rex, there is no torso joint on here, and I can understand why it wouldn't work well with the high spines on this figure. I mean, I guess they could have put it just before the spines for some of that up and down side-to-side movement, kind of like what they did with the crappy mainline version of this figure, but I can understand why they didn't do it, but I do miss that joint. For the legs, they can move backwards and forwards. There is a clicky ratchet joint in there for stability, and they can move, swing a little bit in and out. For the knee, you don't get really any crazy articulation. That's as far as it can extend, as far as it can bend. I do miss the double jointed knee on the Hammond Collection Rex. I'm actually kind of shocked that they did not do it on this figure since they are very, very similar in size. So I definitely missed that type of articulation. Ankle can move outwards and backwards, and it can rotate. The very proportionate feet can tilt and move up and down. They are very, very tight on my figure. One thing I will say, though, the proportionate feet look very nice. This figure is kind of hard to balance. The T-Rex, with its giant clown shoe feet, is much easier to pose. So that's kind of the downside of having proportionate feet. This figure is very, very front heavy, so it's kind of tough to pull out some really dynamic poses with those smaller proportionate feet. For the double jointed tail, you get upwards and downwards movement and some nice side to side. Tail can actually rotate 360 degrees. You can see some of those nice paint apps on the underside of the table. Get to this part right here. This does not actually have a rubber wire in it like most of the figures do. This is actually a segmented joint system. You can actually feel it if you just rub your fingers along the soft rubber, and it actually has some excellent bend to it. So much better than the Rex and most of the other figures in this line. Just look at how that nicely bends right there. And there's some kind of like filler in here to keep the tail feeling nice and full. Absolutely love this new and improved tail joint. And first up for comparisons, we have Dominion, Alan Grant, and Ian Malcolm. These figures scaled beautifully with this figure. This thing was huge in the movie, and, it towered over our main characters in that painfully terrible, slow chase sequence. It was just, what an awful sequence that was. I wanted Dominion to be great, and it just really wasn't. It only has a couple memorable scenes, especially with the Therizinosaurus. But yeah, these figures scaled beautifully with it. And next up, we have the Hammond Collection T-Rex and Therizinosaurus. What a long we've come since the T-Rex. Much more proportionate feet, better paint apps and sculpting. T-Rex was great when it came out, but we seriously need like a version 2 of this. I doubt we're gonna get like an updated version of this particular version of Rexy. It'll probably be her Jurassic World one with the scars added on, with rubber teeth and proportionate feet. And since we're talking about Rexy, with these 3 figures, you can recreate that crappy ass final battle from Dominion. Like seriously, why does Jurassic World hate Rexy? She needs an assist from every dinosaur to win every fight, and it's kind of pathetic. She was so terrifying in the first Jurassic Park, and they've showed her no respect in the Jurassic World era. She just pushed the Giga into the Therian and got stabbed. I actually liked the Giga's appearance in the movie. It actually acted like a real animal. Rexy takes down a deer, and this thing just comes out, just uses its power and size just to bully her away from a meal. No fight to the death. It was kind of stupid, and the stupid revenge thing with the prologue and a Giga killing Rexy's DNA ancestor. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And yes, Colin Trevorrow calling this thing the Joker of the franchise. What a stupid ass statement, but whatever. The Giga acted like an animal, and I kind of actually respected that for once. Next up, we have the mainline Spinosaurus and Indominus Rex. Most of us thought we were going to get the Indominus and Spino after the T-Rex released pretty much 2 years ago. It's pretty crazy to think. For 2 years, the T-Rex was the only $50 figure available in the Hammond collection. Yeah, they released some kind of weird version 1.5 sometime last year. Had slightly improved glass eye. Really weird that they did that. There was no really official announcement on that. But I'm kind of glad they held off making Indominus and Spinosaurus, because with all the new improvements the Hammond collection is seeing. I think they can really do these figures justice. Whenever we get these two, they're going to be absolutely phenomenal looking figures. And finally, finishing off these comparisons, we have a group shot with all the different size classes available in the Hammond collection, from the massive Brachiosaurus to the amazing looking Carnotaurus, the Corythosaurus, and finally an updated raptor mold in Velociraptor blue. With all these different size classes now, the full potential of the Hammond collection can be finally realized. I'm going to bring up the Amber collection for a bit. Just imagine if Mattel never went with the Amber collection. Just think how many more figures we have in Hammond collection right now. I know a lot of people liked Amber collection, but 1/12 scale was not going to work. We were going to never, ever get Dinosaur, some of these larger species in 1/12 scale. It would have been way, way too expensive to produce them. And it's kind of a shame they wasted 2 years, making, 10 Raptor repaints, shoving them down our throats to finally scrap it and go with the far superior Hammond collection. But anyways, I am grateful for the Hammond collection. These are the toys I've always wanted since I was a little kid, highly articulated dinosaur figures. And this line has been an absolute pleasure to collect since the start. Now, final thoughts on the Hammond collection. Giganotosaurus, this thing truly is a masterpiece figure, one of the best in the Hammond collection. The sculpt, the paint apps are all on point. They truly went out of their way. I still can't believe this is a $50 figure for how good it is. It feels like it should cost almost double that. And you know what? If it was, I'd still pay it because this figure is that good. Just from the amazing looking green glass eye, those rubberized teeth, the sculpting and painting all over this figure, it is just absolutely top notch. The only minor critiques I have is, thank God we have proportionate feet. It's just a little hard to get this figure in some dynamic poses, but that is a small price to pay for a much, much better looking figure compared to the clown shoes of the T-Rex. So yes, I do highly, highly recommend this thing. I do have a link down below to Target if you want to order this figure for yourself, and that will do it for the review. I'm probably going to end up picking up some of those Camp Cretaceous camper sets when I eventually find them at Target. I don't think I'm going to get the Darius one because he doesn't have his jacket on for one time. He's actually wearing that yellow jacket throughout the Chaos Theory, so I'm not getting the one without the jacket version. And I do have the new PNSO Tyranno Titan coming in, so stay tuned for all those reviews. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys for the next one.